To the Houston Rockets 76-75, but Doug, when things are going well, this is a club that revolves around the success of Latrell Sprewell and Allen Houston.
Well, Mark, the Knicks really don't have an inside attack, so they must get scoring from Sprewell and Houston. Now, Sprewell has played point guard for 21 games since the absence of Charlie Ward. Did an excellent job. Allen Houston having a terrific year, averaging almost 20 points a game. You see the two on the fast break. Now Sprewell back to his normal position, coming off the screens, looking for the jump shot. And if you want to talk about these two guys' importance to their team, look during the 7-game win streak. Over 45 points a game. You see the shooting in the loss the other night. 6 of 28, only 18 points. Mark, this team struggles to score points. We know the calling card is their defense. I think they need to find a way to get 90 points today. These two guys must give them 45 points.
And an added weapon today. Glenn Rice, who's missed the last 4 games with a sore left heel, will make his return and will see some action. So coming up, it's the first of 2 regular season meetings between the Knicks and the Blazers. The Blazers sizzling, going for their 11th win in a row.
On NBC is brought to you by Budweiser. With a crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. By Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. And by Net Zero. Not just free internet access, the best internet access. Call 1-800-DEFENDER.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. The usual capacity crowd, better than 19,000 on hand as you take a look at the Portland starting lineup. Rasheed Wallace, Arvydas Sabonis, Stacey Augmon for the injured Scottie Pippen up front. Augmon has been playing well, and Damon Stoudemire and Bonzi Wells, who has worked his way into the starting lineup in the backcourt. There's Mike Dunleavy, who has pulled it back in recent weeks, allowing the Blazers to play, which they have appreciated, and they have played with the 10 straight wins. And a look at the Knick lineup: Larry Johnson, Marcus Camby, and Latrell Sprewell on the front line. Charlie Ward is back, recovering from that arthroscopic knee surgery, and back in the lineup at the point. And Allen Houston at the other guard position. And the head coach in his 6th year as head man of the Knicks, Jeff Van Gundy, who is now 4th on the all-time Knick win list behind Red Holzman, Joe Lapchick, and Pat Riley. And this season he will pass by Pat Riley, which is very impressive. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Marv. I spoke to Mike Dunleavy about the team's 10-game winning streak. He said, I'm just telling the team, hey, guys, ignore it. But it's very difficult, he said, to ignore it because every team has taken their best shot at us. He said about his team's rise to now becoming the favorite with the past couple of weeks that they've had. He said, hey, I'm just trying to keep our house in order. We don't want to go around thinking that we're the best team in basketball. Hey, look, it's only January. We're just trying to win some games now. Marv?
Thank you, Jim. Scottie Pippen, as we mentioned, sitting it out. This will be 3 straight games that he's missed because of the tendonitis in his right elbow. Doug, he played in his 1,000th NBA regular season game this past Monday in Boston.
That makes me feel very old, Marv, because I coached him in his first game. And you look over at Scottie, and although they miss him terribly, especially on the defensive end, Stacey Augmon has stepped in, as you talked about, averaging over 11 points a game in the last 3 games. So he has stepped right in. They've kept Steve Smith coming off the bench. So Mike Dunleavy has a very, very deep team, and they're playing very well right now.
On the other hand, of course, you never want to see injuries, but on a team like Portland, from time to time, if a guy sits out, it's not a bad thing. They're so deep, it gives other people a chance to play.
Well, you know, all the conversation in New York here is they're not sure that having a full complement of players is the best thing for this team. Where are all the minutes going to go? So you can see New York going through that right now. Portland has the depth, and they're now using that. So interesting game today.
Eddie F. Rush, Mike Callahan, Rodney Mott are the officials. And the tip controlled by the Knicks. Sprewell had a notion, but then pulled it up, met by the double. Charlie Ward, played by Damon Stoudemire. What a season it's been for Stoudemire.
I think the most important thing about Stoudemire is he's playing much better defense, Marv.
All right, here's Camby going right at Sabonis. Johnson able to come up with a loose ball. And Portland to the offense. Stoudemire leading Wallace. No one in sight in a white uniform.
Well, we talked about him in the open. This guy is a complete player. He can run the floor, as you can see. He can shoot the 3. He posts up. He is a complete player right now, playing great basketball.
And we get the whistle away from the ball. Foul on Wallace.
It was interesting, Marv. I was watching you interview him before the game, and it's like his mind was so prepared on this game. You can see him off to a flying start. And Rasheed Wallace, we know the emotion, and when he channels it in the right way, he is a handful.
Are you saying he was not concentrating on our
I was deep into your conversation. So.
Allen Houston has tied the game at 2. When you're set to talk to a player on the court like 5 minutes before the game and he's jumping up and down trying to get loose, you're wondering what is going on here. I thought he was going to take a couple of jump shots over me. All right, here's Bonzi Wells on the spin and draws the foul.
They are very concerned about Bonzi Wells, Marv. Last year, the fourth quarter here at Madison Square Garden against New York, he had 18 points, almost single-handedly brought them back to a victory. So when I talked to Jeff Van Gundy yesterday, he said, we are concerned about this guy. He really hurts us. And he's worried about his defense, too. He said his kind of defense bothers Allen Houston.
And Bonzi Wells in the Western Conference Finals provided problems for Kobe Bryant. A look at last season, he averaged just under 9, has it up to 10.7 per game. Steve Smith trying to find his shot, has had some difficulties the last couple of weeks, so Mike Dunleavy making the change, and he has Smith coming off the bench.
You know, I really like that, Marv, because Steve Smith comes in. He's playing against a second-line player. He's going to be a little bit more fresh for the fourth quarter. He's a great free throw shooter. And Bonzi, you don't have to run plays for him with that first unit. He's sort of a garbage guy. I like that.
Here's Ward for 3. And can be able to reach for the rebound. Camby challenging Sabonis and draws the foul.
Well, that's what Marcus Camby's going to have to do. He's going to have to use his quickness around Arvydas Sabonis. We know that he can't muscle with him, and if he will slash to that basket, he can get on those offensive boards and make some good things happen for New York.
Marcus Camby having an outstanding season, taking over as the starting center with the departure of Patrick Ewing. See, last year averaged shade over 10. This season, the numbers are slightly better, but he has actually played much better than that.
Well, you know, when I talked yesterday to Mike Dunleavy, I asked him, why were the Knicks able to beat you twice last year? And he said there was a couple reasons. First of all, Ewing was great against us, almost 20 points a game, 9 rebounds against Sabonis. We forced Pippen to guard. And then on the other hand, he said they got big leads. This is Jeff Van Gundy said they got big leads. So we were able to do that and win both games. No Patrick Ewing this year.
Wallace not able to hit. Houston on the loose ball. 2 minutes gone by. The game is tied at 3. Houston pulls it up for 3.
I like that. I like when Allen is in rhythm looking for that shot. I think it's important for him to get off to a quick start. Marv, you see him a lot. When he gets off to a quick start, I think he carries it through the rest of the game.
The Blazers come in at 27-10. They have been a superb road team. They've won 5 straight on the road, including walloping the Sixers the other night. They defeated Charlotte in last game on Thursday. The Hornets 83-70, holding the Hornets to 33% from the field. Here's Johnson. Oh, he loves that spot, loves the corners, particularly from three-point range.
See, I like what he did there. Many times you'll see him catch the ball and hesitate. That time he went right up with his shot in rhythm and was able to knock it in.
So the Knicks with an 8-3 advantage. Rasheed Wallace could not hit after getting by Larry Johnson. Oh, it's a tough pass to handle, but Sprewell did, and then puts it down.
I think the best thing that happened in New York the other day was to lose that Houston game. They've come out with a real here energy today against Portland. They want to see how they match up against the best in the West right now.
And they are 8-5 against Western teams. A 10-1 spurt by the Knicks. Johnson with the rebound. Charlie Ward to the crossover, rejected by Wallace. Stoudemire looking left and right, then takes the shot. The tip missed by Wells, and last touch by Wells. It'll be Nick Ball.
Well, tough luck on that shot by Bonzi Wells. Looked like he had a point-blank tip and just got the bad roll, but excellent block shot that time to start a fast break with Rasheed Wallace.
Doug, you mentioned the loss to the Rockets here on Thursday. The Knicks shot only 31%, a season low. They came up empty their final 7 possessions. They blew a 10-point lead the last 6 minutes of play.
Well, they love to play close games, and they feel like they play playoff basketball every night as we see the slashing move once again by Camby, just too fast for Sabonis, and that's what he has to do, stay on the move.
The Knicks off to a roaring start, and it leads to a Portland timeout. The Blazers just 1 of 8 from the field. They've missed their last 7. The Knicks have a 12-3 lead.
Well, Allen Houston on the break. He pulls up and knocks down the 3. New York has had great balance. Latrell Sprewell penetrating. Look at him collapse that Portland defense. The catch and shoot by Larry Johnson. Sprewell follows it up now on the fast break. He pulls up that little medium-range jump shot. And then Marcus Camby, using his quickness, slashing behind the defense. The little two-hand dunk over his shoulder. 4 straight scores by the Knicks. They lead by 9.
Start for the Knicks here at the Garden. They lead the Blazers 12-3. Portland for the season shooting 47%. That's best in the league, and they've hit only 1 of their first 8 shots. Beautiful backdoor pass. Wallace finding Wells.
Portland is such a great post-up team. Normally we see Wallace down there, maybe Sabonis, but Bonzi Wells, one of the best guards posting up. You saw him just move Sprewell off the block.
Augmon, an excellent defender, contending with Houston. Came up with a blocked shot. Nice play by Stacey Augmon. Here comes Stoudemire on the break, and Wells is fouled. So Bonzi Wells will go to the line.
Portland at their best is a team that goes inside and then outside. There's no need to go outside with this kind of post play with Wells in the finish. But when Portland is playing their best, they're getting excellent defense, deflections, rebounding, and running. When they get themselves in trouble, Marv, they get stagnant, they get in a half court, and they start launching outside jump shots. So during this streak, their defense has really triggered their offense.
Bonzi Wells, only a 69% free throw shooter. For the Portland Trailblazers, this is game 4 of a 5-game road trip. They'll finish up tomorrow night at Detroit. They have won at Boston, at Philadelphia, and at Charlotte. 10 straight wins to equal the longest win streak of the season. The Sixers opened up at 10-0, and a Portland win would match their longest win streak since back in the 90-91 season when they won 16 in a row, a team record. Foul called on Bonzi Wells.
He threw him.
We have played 5 minutes of this first quarter. Now Sprewell trying to post against Wells. And then gave it up. It was last touch by Portland.
Well, you can see what Portland's trying to do. They're trying to get Sprewell and Houston to put that ball on the floor, get him towards that basket, and then run a big guy over him to contest the shot. So they're going to have to look for that medium-range jump shot. Marv, a lot like they did against San Antonio in the finals the one year with the Twin Towers.
Oh, Camby trying to put it down, but Johnson retrieves. Here's Johnson off the head fake around Sabonis to set it up for Camby. Yes, and it counts.
The Knicks are holding their breath that Camby can stay healthy this year because he has been by far their most dominant big guy, and when he just slashes to the basket and goes to the open area, Marv, he's the kind of guy that can give you 15 or 17 points, and you don't ever have to run a play for him. They need him on the floor. He's their best shot blocker, their best rebounder. He's got to stay healthy, and today he's got to stay out of foul trouble.
And he comes off an injury hit, actually an inconsistent season of knee problems, ankle problems. And he just picked up a second foul on Rasheed Wallace, who has been replaced by Sean Kemp. The Knicks with a 15-5 lead. Augmon being played by Houston. Now Sabonis using his bulk on Camby. And it will be Portland ball. Mike Dunleavy has been hit with a technical foul. Assistant coach Jim Ian stepped in the path between Dunleavy and the officiating crew. And Rodney Mott calling the tee on Dunleavy, who has been upset here in the first quarter.
I think he felt that Sabonis got fouled on that up fake by Camby, and he knows how important it is to get Camby in foul trouble. He did not get the foul call. He misses the basket. It goes out of bounds, and Allen Houston hits a technical free throw.
Allen Houston among the leaders at the free throw line. So the Knicks now lead at 16-5. Rodney Mott continues the conversation. It's Rasheed Wallace who is upset. Rasheed leading the NBA by a considerable margin in the category of technical fouls. Here's Kemp with his first shot. And a nice box out by Camby, deflected by Wells. Out of bounds, it'll be Nick Ball.
Now, for people who have not seen much of Sean Kemp this year, really not much of a post player any much, Marv. What he gives this team is outside jump shooting. So when he makes the outside shots, he's a presence for this team, but you're not going to see him much in the post.
Kemp was a factor in that Christmas Day win against the Lakers in Los Angeles. Came off the bench, hit the jumper. That's the game that saw Dale Davis play only 5 minutes. Crowd reacting to the behind-the-back pass by Sprewell. And Davis was unhappy with the lack of playing time. Missed a practice session. Was fined by Mike Dunleavy and the Blazers. All right, here's Sprewell. Sabonis not close to getting back. Sprewell puts it down, and the Knicks have raced in front by the count of 18-5.
Well, this guy has become the leader of their team. With Patrick Ewing gone, he's come in here for about 3 or 4 years. He's done all the right things. He's playing great basketball, and he is the leader of this team with his energy, with his toughness, playing great basketball.
Portland just 2 of 12 from the field. Nice move by Sabonis that time. He got down deep. Arvydas Sabonis with many pounds and a couple of inches on Marcus Camby.
And when you got a shot blocker playing you, Marv, what you do is you bang him just enough to get him on his heels and then go up and shoot the ball.
That was last touch by the Knicks. Although now there's some discussion between the officials, Ed F. Rush and Rodney Mott, and they do agree it will be Portland ball. Well, the Knicks looking at this game coming in as a measuring stick going up against the team with the best record in the NBA. I don't think they expected to get off to this kind of start, but as we know, this is a Knick team that can also go through all kinds of scoring droughts, so there is no lead big enough.
That is true.
Oh, Johnson! That was set up by Ward, and the Knicks now lead 20-7, just under 5 remaining in the first quarter.
Well, you can see the game plan of Jeff Van Gundy. He wants his big men to run the floor, and with Kemp and Sabonis on the floor, a big speed advantage for New York, and Larry Johnson took advantage of that.
Knicks switching very effectively. Here's Wells, and the foul is called. It's a block. Allen Houston, who rarely shows any temper at all, was upset with that call, and the foul picked up by Houston.
Well, this is what New York wants to do. They're a perimeter team, and they want to get the ball inside. Sprewell with the steal. He scores. Look at Larry Johnson laying the ball in the basket. When New York gets himself in trouble is when they get stagnant offensively. They shoot jump shots. They don't get to the free throw line, and they go through those droughts that you talked about, Marv. Right now, they're getting layups, which will lead to their jump shots now falling. So good start for New York on the offensive end. And
Glenn Rice being welcomed back by this crowd as Allen Houston, after picking up a second foul, sits down. Allen particularly unhappy because I know he felt he had the touch going. Hit his first 2 out of 3 from the field.
I like the little fire I saw from Allen. He hit the floor. He was upset.
Yes.
I think that the Knicks fans like to see more of that, Marv.
Allen, a guy who played for you in Detroit.
One of the nicest guys I've ever coached.
And Sprewell with room for 3. Rebounded by Wells. And he, let's see. Apparently the ball was knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Knicks, so it will be Portland ball. And Bonzi Wells now sits down. Steve Smith checks in. So it's Stoudemire and Smith at the guards. Augmon remains, along with Sabonis and Kemp.
I think you're going to see Mike Dunleavy continue to try to pound that ball into Sabonis and get a foul on Camby. The strength factor there right now is in their advantage. They've got to get it inside.
Sabonis backing his way. Crowd looking for a traveling violation.
Marv, you know, when you talk about shot blockers, Camby is a much better shot blocker off the ball. He doesn't really block his own man shot. He comes from the weak side, so you're not going to see him really go up and get Sabonis a shot.
It is usually the element of surprise that does it for Camby. Plays the angles. Johnson with Rice and Camby up front. Ward and Sprewell are back. Here's Camby. Wild shot and gets the bounce.
I think if Marcus Camby would spend a summer and get a move down low, it's where he can become a guy you can throw that ball to. His game would expand so much. Right now, he does not have that in his game, although he did make a nice move there against Sabonis.
Or a baseline 8-foot jump shot.
Yes.
Would do. Stoudemire open for 3. Camby off to a terrific start. 8 points, 7 rebounds. Smith reluctant to shoot. He had the opportunity. And the call away from the ball. Foul is called on the Knicks. It's on Rice. Timeout taken with just under 3 to go in this first quarter.
Marcus Camby off to an excellent start. He turns and faces, so he doesn't have to play the power game. He's using his speed. He gets the kind roll. And you take a look at Mike Dunleavy. He's not happy with the start here as his team is down by 12.
Well, Glenn Rice making his return after missing 4 games with that sore left foot. Now the Knicks, though, have 3 similar type players with Rice, Houston, and Sprewell. We talked about that with Jeff Van Gundy.
I think the biggest thing is that we're going to try to have to find a way now that Glenn is going to be back to make it work with Allen, Latrell, and Glenn. I think that's been the hardest thing, to date, is just to make it work. You have 3 guys with similar skills, with similar needs, and it's not possible to satisfy them all.
And Doug, the Trailblazers have vivid memories of the work of Glenn Rice last season in the uniform of the LA Lakers in the Western Conference Final. Rice 21 points in Game 4 that put the Lakers up 3 games to 1.
Yeah, he has played very, very well. And, when you talk about what Jeff Van Gundy says, I think another thing that makes it very, very hard is the Knicks only get 77 shots a game, so they play such a controlled offense. If the tempo was a little faster, it might not be as much of a problem.
For the most part, he's had about 5 or 6 top-level games, but he just has had difficulty getting the ball.
He's a guy that really can post up. I think with L.A., we saw him strictly as a perimeter shooter as Charlie Ward backs up and knocks in the 3. So it's all working right now for New York. But Marv, about Glenn Rice, when he played at Charlotte, they used to cross-screen, bring him to the post, and he was an excellent post player as a small forward. That he really lost that part of his game in L.A.
Blazers just 4 of 16 from the field. Coming up on 2 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. Sabonis launches one outside. He was double teamed, and he was trying to get it out, but threw it away.
Well, Larry Johnson, a very nice double team, and what they forced Sabonis to do is pick up that dribble, and then they really crowded him on that pass. Normally a very good passer out of the post.
Talking about Glenn Rice playing for the LA Lakers, on the subject of the Lakers, what is your reaction to what is going on between Shaq and Kobe? Today there was a report that Shaq had actually asked to be traded on 2 occasions.
Well, my first reaction to that is I'm very sad because these are arguably the 2 best players in the game. Kobe on the perimeter, Shaq inside. They're coming off a championship season, and these 2 guys need each other. In order to win, they need Kobe to be able to help finish games because of Shaq's poor free throw shooting, and they need Shaq to dominate inside, and they need him to dominate on the defense. So I'm saddened by it. I hope they work it out because they have a chance out there in L.A. to win 4 or 5 championships with that team, and I'm sure Phil is letting them know that. But they need each other, Marv. They know that. They're just being stubborn right now.
25-12, Knicks with the lead. Offensive foul on Damon Stoudemire. Now Kurt Thomas will check in for the first time. And Bonzi Wells returns, replacing Stacey Augmon. Kurt Thomas has done a good job for the Knicks off the bench and in a limited starting role when Marcus Camby has been sidelined. The dynamics of the tension between the 2 players, Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, turned out to be more serious than indicated. We were talking to these guys early in the season. Everybody saying, no, it's nothing serious. And Phil Jackson was hoping it would all work itself out. Here's another 3-pointer by Charlie Ward. The Knicks lead 28-12. Should he have stepped in quicker, or is that something that you have to let play itself out?
Marvin, in hindsight, retrospect, I think Phil wishes maybe he would have stepped in sooner, but his style has always been give guys enough rope, and then when it starts getting bad, close it off and get the discipline. And in Chicago, understand, there was never a question. Michael Jordan was the number 1 guy. Scottie Pippen was number 2. Now, all of a sudden, with Kobe's tremendous improvement, all of a sudden now, who is number 1 out there? You know what? They can both be 1A if they want to win championships.
I know the guys in the studio will have more on that subject at halftime. We have 14 seconds remaining in this first quarter, and the Knicks with a 28-12 lead. And disagreement on who deflected that ball out. They may be calling a apparently last touch by Portland. Now they're checking the clock to make certain the clock is correct. And apparently they will reset it. Here comes Dale Davis for Arvydas Sabonis. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
Marv, just to follow up on what you guys are talking about, Mitch Kupchak, the general manager for the Lakers, has stated emphatically as recently as yesterday that he will not honor either request, that he will not trade under any set of circumstances, or will he entertain any offers under any set of circumstances for Shaquille O'Neal or for Kobe Bryant. They're going to have to figure out a way to work this out. Marv?
All right, Jim. I don't see any way you can consider the possibility of a trade. Work it out. Sprewell hits the three with 10 seconds remaining in the first quarter. This is a very high number of points for the New York Knicks. 31. They're up 31-12. Final seconds of the first. Smith using the pick. Nice play by Thomas coming over. And time runs out off the hesitation by the Blazers. Standing ovation for the New York Knicks. 12 of 22 from the field, 4 from downtown. Portland only 5 of 18, and after one, the Knicks hearing it from the crowd. They lead 31-12. Well, for the Blazers, only 12 points in the first quarter. That, Doug, is a season low. The Knicks with a 31-12 lead after one.
Well, you've got to give New York a lot of credit. They were aggressive defensively. They got out on the break. And, Marvin, the 22 wins, they average almost 94 points a game in New York. And the loss is less than 77. So they're on pace right now to get the kind of points they need to beat this Portland team.
We were talking earlier about this with Latrell Sprewell. He said, when we've lost, we have been very bad.
Well, those numbers say that.
Yes. Here's Dale Davis. Oh, Dale Davis, the one-time Indiana Pacer, who has been unhappy about the lack of playing time, is able to hit on his first field goal.
Well, he's hit 16 of his last 20 field goals now, so he's shooting the ball exceptionally well. Marvy has to understand that on this team, against a team like the Lakers, he might not get as many minutes because he can't make the shot, whereas Sean Kemp can't. So night to night, it might be a situation he just has to understand. I think he and Mike Dunleavy talked. They worked it out, and he's playing very good basketball right now. He had 15 rebounds the other night against Charlotte.
Foul committed by Bonzi Wells. Marcus Camby controlling the offensive glass, and he is headed to the line. Marcus with 8 points, 8 rebounds now. Well, you can log on to MSNBCSports.com for comprehensive coverage of the NBA this week. Our man Bill Walton takes an in-depth look at Rick Pitino's departure from the Boston Celtics. Plus, you can email Bill your questions and check out his latest mailbag answers, which include a look at some of this season's surprise players. MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports. Rasheed Wallace with a quick move against Kurt Thomas.
When you go that quickly, you cannot get down to a double team, and Thomas has no chance to block his shot. Rasheed Wallace gets such great extension.
Second field goal for Wallace. He's playing with 2 personal fouls. Chris Childs on the floor for the first time, as is Greg Anthony, a one-time New York Knick. Oh, little miscommunication.
Doing a little screwball there.
Whoa. Greg Anthony, who's made it back from problems with bone spurs on his ankles. Played through it last year. A little slow in coming around this season, which has provided the extra playing time for Damon Stoudemire. Nice pass, and Thomas is fouled by Davis.
I think that's a great point. With Damon Stoudemire this year, with Greg Anthony not being healthy to play in the fourth quarter, what Damon got a chance to do is play, and more importantly, he played good defense. When Mike Dunleavy and I spoke yesterday, he said he is getting up the floor. He's playing much better defense. So when he plays at the end of the game, forget his offense, he is doing what I want him to do defensively.
Knicks now lead 34-16.
And you can see how important he is in the wins, what he does. And look at his field goal percentage there, how much more important it is. He had the big shot at the end of the Utah game when they win that game. He had 14 points in the fourth quarter at L.A. when they win that game. So becoming a guy they can go to down the stretch.
The Knicks are the best free throw shooting team in the league. The question is always, how frequently will they get to the line? They've been getting to the line here tonight. Oh, Anthony having difficulty getting it across against Childs. Knicks 7 of 8 at the free throw line. Here's Smith, played well by Sprewell, and Smith still able to hit.
Playing much better. When I talked to him before the game, he says, Doug, I went through a stretch after being in the Olympics. I mentally got tired. My legs are feeling better. In the last 4 games, he's averaging 17 points off the bench, so he's starting to play much better basketball.
Now Sprewell posting on Wells. Finding Canby. Oh, nice. Nice change of direction by Canby, and then able to tip it home.
What a magnificent tip in.
We're watching the Marcus Camby that we saw 2 years ago in the playoffs, in particular against the Indiana Pacers, where Kurt Thomas called for the foul. Larry Bird made the comment that no question Marcus Camby was the best player for either team on the floor throughout that series.
When he plays against power players and can use his quickness, they can't cover him. And you remember then going into the finals, he really struggled against David Robinson and Duncan because they could match his quickness. But against Indiana, he was very tough.
Well, Davis able to get inside. He got position, and the foul is called as Camby and Thomas came over, converging. Foul picked up by Camby. That is his first. Dale Davis will shoot 2. He's a 65% free throw shooter. Dale Davis, acquired from Indiana in the deal for Jermaine O'Neal and Joe Klein. And what a stretch it's been for Jermaine O'Neal, particularly on the recent road stretch for Indiana. Well, tomorrow, 4 Eastern, right here on NBC. Catch Big Mountain Skiing at its best. It's the Ford Downhill Series. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern on NBC. World's top skiers involved, including the 94 Olympic gold medalist Tommy Moe. And Dale Davis hits 2 from the line. So the Knicks now lead 37-20. The Knicks come in at 22-13. They've won 7 of their last 8. They come off a loss to the Rockets, a bad performance, shooting only 31% from the field, but they've come out with a burst here in this first half against Portland, led by Camby. Camby playing catch with himself.
Dale Davis came over to try to block that shot, and Camby on his second jump was so quick that he beat Portland to the basketball. He has been a terror on that offensive backboard here to start this game.
Camby now has 14 points. Wallace going glass.
How soft is that touch? We've seen him run the floor, get on the break. We've seen him post and shoot it. We've seen him step out and use the glass, block a shot, get some rebounds, play complete basketball.
It's a kick ball. Timeout is taken. When we come back, it will be the Knicks in possession with 8 minutes, 40 seconds remaining. Second quarter. Welcome back to Madison Square Garden in New York. Marv Albert, Doug Collins, Jim Gray. Knicks with a 39-22 lead on the Portland Trail Blazers, who have the best record of the NBA, 27-10. They come in with 10 straight victories. Here's Glenn Rice. This is a play designed to get Rice going, but not able to hit.
He's played over 8 minutes. That's his first shot attempt. And Jeff Van Gundy knows that Glenn Rice coming back is trying to fit in. But he needs to be able to score some points, come out of the timeout, try to get him a post up, just couldn't finish it.
Allen Houston is back on the floor playing with the 2 fouls. Sprewell getting a rest, so Childs and Houston in the backcourt. Rice with Camby and Thomas up front. And there is Glenn Rice with his second shot of the game and hits from downtown. A 20-point lead for the Knicks, who have connected on 5 of 8 from 3-point land. Wallace played by Thomas. Now Childs over to help. Here's Wallace. Knicks have done a good job on Rasheed Wallace. Second opportunity, though, for Portland. Davis. And here are the Knicks on a 3-on-1, led by Houston for Camby. Oh, offensive foul.
Allen Houston should have pulled up at the free throw line and just taken that jump shot. Of course, Portland was laying on that pass. They did a nice job of reading him. You got 2 big guys running the lane. Shoot the jumper. If you miss it, they can tip the ball in. He was trying to be unselfish here, and you teach your guy, give the ball to the big man on the break if you can, but Greg Anthony read that play all the way. Coach
Collins, that was not a good-looking 3-on-1.
Pull up, Allen Houston, shoot the basketball. Your big guys are running. Tip the ball in if you miss it.
Marcus Camby Now sitting down. He's with 14 points, 11 rebounds. Oh, Childs took a pretty good shot on the pick by Davis. Shot clock at 5. And Steve Smith showing the touch. That's his second field goal. He has 4.
And he's at 9 now of his last 13 threes. Starting to find the range. That means he's getting his legs back.
18-point Knick lead. Rice. And the tip. Oh, missed by Thomas. Loose ball foul is called. It's on the Knicks. And you can see that Jeff Van Gundy is looking to play 2 of the 3 similar type players at the same time. Right now he has Houston and Rice on the floor. Earlier it was Sprewell and Houston, and that seems to be the best recipe for success with this group.
Well, you know how much Jeff loves defense also, too. He's worried about which one of those guys are going to be able to play Stoudemire and keep him out of the lane. So the matchups sort of force him to do that, too, as we see Steve Smith once again on that baseline. And Steve Smith coming in the game now, giving them a big lift offensively as they try to climb back into this game, still down 16.
Earlier this season, the Knicks did not have any choice with Charlie Ward out, and they felt they were better off with Chris Childs coming off the bench. Foul call on Stoudemire. So Sprewell's playing the point guard, and the Knicks were able to work their way through it. But as Latrell was telling us, he says the entire league is well aware that he basically goes to his right, but he feels that by playing point guard, he improved on his left hand and forced him to go left.
No, his decision-making was better, and I think more importantly, offensively they were better. Jeff did not like him as well defensively, as we see Allen Houston doing what he does best, squaring up that little medium-range jump shot.
8 points for Houston, the Knicks 44, and the Blazers 26. They double up on Smith. Here's Wells. Oh, good play by Thomas, but looks like he got a piece of Davis as the ball was slapped away. Davis took a shot in the eye. 6 minutes remaining in this first half. Houston able to free himself up, and a foul is called against the Knicks. Foul on Thomas. Timeout taken by Jeff Van Gundy. The Knicks lead by 18.
We've watched dreams come true and dreams shattered. The joy, the frustration, the elation, the heartbreak. It's a challenge unlike any other in professional sports. The Q School. Who will withstand 6 days on the brink? The PGA Tour qualifying tournament, Sunday on NBC.
Hey, we're playing soft as can be. Come on, get into the game. Throw the glass. Get him off. All right, let's go back.
Well, that was Mike Dunleavy talking to his club in the previous timeout, referring to their soft play here in the first half.
Well, it really shows on the rebounding. Normally, Portland is a good rebounding team. New York, one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the league, 27th out of 29 teams. They have 11 second-chance points. They're down by 18. So clean up the backboard, get tough in the lane, and let's get this down to about 8 or 10 points at halftime is what he's like to have.
Blazers have actually shot well in the second quarter, 6 of 9, but they've gained only 1 point. In the process, they're still down by 18. Wallace from deep. Bonzi Wells with the opportunity, but came up short. Bonzi's struggling here in the first half. Here's Rice for 3. Yes.
Well, when you can spread the defense like that, you get Glenn Rice outrunning and Allen Houston, 2 great three-point shooters. What a tough thing it is to defend.
Glenn Rice hitting his second from downtown. Knicks now lead 47-26 as we approach 5 minutes to go in the half. Arvydas Sabonis back in, finding Rasheed Wallace, and Wallace able to lay it home. So Rasheed has 8 points.
What a great touch pass by Sabonis, just right over the defense. And we know the New York defense does not want to give anything up in the lane. They'll live with a jump shot and a hand in the face.
Here's the help. Smith came over, so the Knicks able to swing it. Rice again. Good hustle by Stoudemire. Wallace now being played by Johnson. Here's the double as Houston comes over. And Houston able to rotate quickly to Stoudemire. Wallace. And a technical foul has been called on Bonzi Wells.
A little frustration there. Bonzi's had 2 or 3 opportunities around the basket, and he's either fumbled them or missed them, and you just see the frustration on his face there as he gets the technical foul.
Mike Callahan calling the technical. Apparently Bonzi had something to say, and again Allen Houston takes advantage. Earlier Mike Dunleavy was hit with a tee. Knicks now lead 48-30.
When you talk about offensive rebounds, the Knicks are winning that. Mark, the battle at the three-point line, 6 of 10 for New York, 0 of 2 for Portland, so plus 18 from the three-point line. So if they want to win the basketball game, they got to get to the free throw line, they got to shoot the 3, and they're doing both of those things here in this first half.
Knicks now going with Childs and Houston in the backcourt. Johnson, Rice, and Thomas up front. Here's the double on Johnson.
Why?
Childs for Thomas, who was in the lane. 3-second violation.
Sabonis goes across the floor to double team Larry Johnson in the post, who's being played by Rasheed Wallace, who's one of the best shot blockers in the game. I think that was a breakdown in defense, unless Mike Dunleavy's just trying to get his defense moving, because they've really been in sand here to start this game.
Latrell Sprewell getting set to check back in. It's a Portland team that last year went 59-23, second best record of the NBA behind the Lakers. Remember, they got off to the great start. They were 45-11, but just dropped off, faltered after losing that showdown regular season game last February in Portland to the Los Angeles Lakers. Allen Houston off the mark. And in the playoffs, Blazers beat Minnesota, knocked off Utah in 5, but in the Western Conference Final, in a tremendous series, lost to the Lakers in 7. Shot clock is down to 6. Here's Smith. And both clubs having their difficulties here in the latter stage of the second quarter. Houston for 3. But the Knicks have an 18-point lead to play with. 3 minutes to go in the half. Sabonis behind the back to Smith. Beautifully done by Arvydas Sabonis.
He read that play so beautifully. Steve Smith pointed to him to come to the top of the floor. The man was fronting, and what a gorgeous pass.
Arvydas back from the arthroscopic knee surgery. Recently celebrated his 36th birthday. One of the great international players, Arvydas Sabonis, on the hop for Steve Smith. We'll be right back.
Ahmad Rashad in New York. Coming up at the Net Zero at the half, we'll have the latest on the feud in Los Angeles between Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. We'll hear from Magic Johnson on what this means to the Lakers' chances of defending their title. Also, we'll take a live look at the Phoenix-Dallas game. Plus, we'll have first-half insights on the Blazers from Knicks from Kevin, PJ, and Peter.
Marcus Camby, 14 points, 11 rebounds. The Knicks big guys are too quick. They're all over Portland.
We got nuggets like that coming up. Let's go back now to Marv.
All right. Thank you, Ahmad. We have 2 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in the first half. And the Knicks, who have led by as many as 21, now lead by 16. There's Marcus Camby making his way back. For those who may have just tuned in, once again, Scottie Pippen sitting it out with an injured elbow, missing his 3rd straight game. Glenn Rice has returned in a big way, hitting a couple from downtown. Blocking foul is called on Augment. Latrell Sprewell, though, back on the floor, replacing Rice. So the Knicks now have Childs and Houston at the guards. Camby, Sprewell, and Johnson up front.
I would like to see Allen Houston do that more. Get to the free throw line. He's a great free throw shooter, but shoots only 4 free throws a game. Sprewell only 5. He's an excellent free throw shooter. These guys should shoot 15 to 16 free throws a game where they're slashing and cutting.
Now Sprewell putting the move on Smith. So the Knicks offense has fallen back from the way they started the first quarter. The defense still there. Nice move by Camby to knock it away. Sprewell with room. Too much room, perhaps. Smith for 3. Wallace had it stolen by Camby. by Canby. Took it out of the hands of Wallace, who felt that he was fouled.
New York is just one step quicker in every phase right now than Portland.
Foul called on Smith, so Houston will go to the line.
Well, Marcus Camby has been absolutely terrific in this first half. His quickness just too much for Portland. You heard P.J. Carlissimo talk about that in the Showtime. And right now, the speed and quickness is winning over the size and the power.
Allen Houston, just under 90% for the season. Now 2 of 3 at the line. Latrell Sprewell the other day, 1 of 11 against the Houston Rockets and 3 of 9 here in the first half. Allen Houston did not shoot well against the Rockets. In fact, no one shot well in a 76-75 loss to stop the Knick win streak at 7. Houston was 5 for 17 from the field. Only Larry Johnson had the touch. 18 points, 6 of 10. Knicks up by 17 with 1:35 remaining in the half. Shot clock at 5. They doubled Sabonis. The rejection by Camby. It's a rare straight-on rejection by Marcus Camby. Johnson with the fake. Shot clock at 5. Johnson was looking for some movement and had to force it.
That's when he gets himself in trouble, when he holds the ball. Everybody just stands and watches him play, and the clock works against him.
Stoudemire from downtown.
Jeff Van Gundy's going to take, I think, a 20-second. No, I thought he was going to take a timeout here to try to get something. He'd like to go in with a positive finish here. He's got a 17-point lead, and this team has dominated this entire first half. Make that a 14-point lead after the 3-point shot.
Damon Stoudemire's first field goal. That's the first 3 for the Blazers. Just under 1 minute remaining in the first half. Houston putting the move on Altman. And back come the Blazers.
Look for a quick 2-for-1 here.
Stoudemire comes up short, and a foul is called on Childs.
See, Portland has been dominated this entire first half. It's a 14-point game right now, Barb. If Stoudemire makes these 2 free throws to make it 12, 35 seconds, you get a defensive stop. Portland comes down and scores. It's a 10-point game. That's what Portland is thinking right now. Get this to 10, couple scores, and 1 defensive stop.
The Knicks only 5 of 18 from the field in the second quarter. Knicks have led, as you mentioned, by as many as 21. It's down to 13 now. Dale Davis back on the floor, replacing Arvydas Sabonis. Portland with the best record in the league at 27-10. Their road record 13-7. That's second best behind the 76ers as they wind down on this 5-game trip. This game 4 they'll play in Detroit tomorrow night. We have a half minute left in the first half. And it's now a 12-point game.
Stoudemire needs help.
Sprewell. And back come the Blazers. They can set it up. Plenty of time. Coming up on 10 seconds. Portland in the midst of an 11-2 run as this first half comes to a close. 5 seconds in the half. Stoudemire for 3. Halftime here at Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks lead the Portland Trailblazers 49-37. They opened up with a 31-12 lead in the first quarter, holding Portland to 5 of 18 from the field. Marcus Camby has been the story for the Knicks, and he's with our Jim Gray.
Marvin Dede has been the story. 13 rebounds and 14 points for Marcus. Marcus, was it the Knicks' game plan to go right after Sabonis?
We just wanted to get after these guys. We thought we let a win get away the other night against Houston. And our defense, our foundation is based on our defense. So we just try to make it tough on those guys and just attack.
What have you done specifically defensively? You've held them to 37 points. They're the second highest scoring team in the NBA.
Well, we pride ourselves as being a great defensive ball club also. So, the crowd has been great. We've been able to sustain their runs, and hopefully we can hold on and pull this thing out.
All right. Good luck in the second half, Mark.
Appreciate it. What's up, Hartford?
Marv, it looks like they'll hold them to under 100 again, the Knicks, for the 30th straight time.
All right, Jim, a 12-point Knick lead, 49-37. Camby, the high man for the Knicks, with 14. And Wallace leading the way for Portland with 10 points. Stay tuned for Ahmad Rashad, Peter Vesey, Kevin Johnson, PJ Carlesimo in our Manhattan studio. You are watching the NBA on NBC.
From the outer edge of the nation, the Sacramento Kings have demanded the league's attention. Now, it is not a question of whether they have the talent to take the next step, but rather when. The Kings face the Blazers next Saturday at 5 Eastern.
Welcome to Net Zero. At the half, Net Zero, defenders of the free world. Not just free internet access, the best internet access. Call 1-800-DEFENDER.
Welcome back to our New York studio with Kevin, PJ, and Peter. Let's go live to Dallas and look in on the Suns-Mavs games where the Suns lead at 45-44.
Mike Finley got hot down the stretch at the end of the half, scored four straight points, which is big for Dallas.
Phoenix's bench is always a problem. When you go against Phoenix, they come at you. Usually when you go to your bench, you feel you're going to be all right. Phoenix murders you off the bench.
You know, Finley, I never thought he was going to be a franchise player when he was traded for Jason Kidd, but I guarantee it, this guy is going to represent our country in the World Games and the next Olympics. That's how good he is.
You know, Scott Skiles said going in that he was really upset his team wasn't playing aggressive. They seem to be playing aggressive today.
Well, they got Coangelo at point guard. That's what.
Well, they turn you over. Same thing happened the first time. These two teams met in November. Phoenix, great job creating steals. They did, one of the top in the league. Dallas normally doesn't turn it over. They had 23 turnovers in the first game. They're halfway there again tonight. They're not taking care of the ball. They miss Steve Nash.
Sean Marion, big half as well. Going to the line, has 14 points. Very exciting player.
How about Camby, though, in that Knicks game, huh?
Blazers.
Yeah, want to talk Blazers? I want to talk Knicks.
Well, you can go ahead and talk Knicks.
Camby, 14 rebounds, 14 points, 13 rebounds. This is the guy that they were talking about trading earlier in the year. Can you imagine if they had traded Camby and Sprewell for Mutombo? First of all, it was never offered. But second of all, it would have been a farce.
But now here's the thing. The Knicks, 7 of 8, but a lot of people talk about that was a soft part of their schedule. They get Portland in here to really figure out where they're at in terms of what kind of team they are. They're playing extremely well.
Well, they stepped up. I think great reaction to what happened Thursday against Houston. And again, their quickness, Doug Collins is right on the money. Portland does not have an answer yet for the Knicks' quickness on the front line.
And they're playing great defense. It's the 29th, 30th straight game of keeping the team under 100 points.
All right, coming up next, we will have the very latest from L.A. on the continuing saga of Shaq and Kobe. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Ever since Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant came to the Lakers, there have been questions whether the two could blend their talents. They seemed to answer those questions last season when L.A. won the NBA title. But the differences between Kobe and Shaq always simmered beneath the surface. And this week, the feud boiled over.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We did a certain thing last year, and we're not doing that now. Once we get back to that, then we'll get back on track.
Your young men fighting.
I've always wanted to be a team player. And if the big dog ain't me, then the house won't get guarded. Period.
People wanted me to just kind of level off my play and not improve and just do the same thing I did last year. And I'm not going to do that.
This is juvenile stuff. This is really juvenile stuff, isn't it? It's like sandbox stuff. You got my truck and I want it back.
They're too good to cry about the things they're crying about. And they need to work with one another. I don't understand it.
It's something that we can't let drag on. Whether you like a guy or not, it doesn't matter. We're out there playing together as a team, and we're going to do this thing together as a team.
I think both players understand that you can't win a championship without the other. You know, Shaq needs Kobe, Kobe needs Shaq.
Kobe backing in. Whip it into the Shaq. Score! What a nice play. They point to each other coming down the floor. They slap hands as they pass.
I'm not interested in solving. I'm interested in players playing team basketball. And that's the only thing that's an issue. And then it becomes, not a personal game, but a group effort. And that's what we have to emphasize.
We must not lose sight of the big picture here.
and the big picture is to win, no matter who's getting the shots and who's getting it done. And both of you still need each other, no matter what.
Well, Magic seemed confident Shaq and Kobe could work things out, but what will it take to get them back on the same page, KJ?
I'll tell you, I think these guys realize the big picture. Unfortunately, this year is not last year. Last year, things came very easy to these guys. Now they're being hunted. They're having adversity. I think this adversity is going to bring these guys even that much closer together before the season's over.
I think it's significant that they're doing it out in public. There's always these little scuffles, and very often it involves the key players on a team. But to be doing it out in the newspapers, very pointed comments, I think there's concern, and the numbers have to make you wonder. Last year, they were the best defensive team in the league. This year, they're an average defensive team at best, so you have to wonder.
It's gotten personal. There's no question about that. When Shaq is telling Kobe he's got to pass the ball or he's not going to play defense, basically, that's what he said, not in those words. You know, and Kobe's asked to defer to Shaq. Let's face it. You know, if Phil Jackson is asking Kobe Bryant, who's worked on his game all summer to perfect it even more than it was, now he comes back and Phil's asking him to walk the ball up the court for the first 3 quarters of the game, and then, when they're losing, take over the game by himself because we're not going to get the ball to Shaq because he can't shoot free throws. He might even be on the bench next to me. No wonder Kobe says, no way. What would Michael Jordan
have? Walk it up. He's telling him first three quarters he wants him to play, to run the system and play that way. And then in the fourth, there's no question they got to go to. They have to go to Jordan.
But now, if we talk about Michael Jordan, that's the same situation he was in. They ran the triangle offense for the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, Michael took over.
Exactly. And I remember Michael telling me when he retired the first time that was one of the reasons that he retired. He resented that. He loathed it. He did not want to be responsible for taking over the game when they were down 15 points in the fourth quarter. So I guarantee if Michael is one of those guys that's talking to Kobe, he's telling him, shoot.
Yeah, but I don't think Michael would even say that, though, Peter. I think 15 points down would be something Michael would love. 30 points down, he would love to be in that situation.
That's what he told me.
Their problems aren't on offense.
But don't forget that Kobe's 22 years old. There's a learning curve here. They're going to improve together. And they realize that. Both Kobe and Shaquille are very passionate about winning, and they want to win. They realize together they're going to do it.
Well, the good thing is they've got time to do it. You know, there's plenty of time to get on the same page and decide what.
We'll probably look back in the future, but the only people that can stop the Lakers are Kobe and Shaq.
As a coach, how tough is it on Phil being a babysitter in this situation?
Well, he's frustrated. Doesn't want to do that. He's saying that's not what I'm supposed to do. They're supposed to do it. Well, I mean, that's him playing mind games a little bit. They have to figure it out, but he's
paying him
very
$6
much
million
involved.
to do that.
He's involved right now.
And the beat goes on. Coming up, we'll take you back out for the start of the second half. Thanks for joining us on the Net Zero at the half.
This has been Net Zero at the half. Net Zero, defenders of the free world. Not just free internet access, the best internet access. Visit www.netzero.net.
Back at Madison Square Garden, Marv Albert, Doug Collins, Jim Gray, Knicks by 12 at the half after leading by as many as 21. Let's go to Jim Gray with Mike Dunleavy.
All right, thank you very much, Marv. Mike, big numbers for Marcus Camby. How do you combat that here in the second half?
Well, we got to put a body on him. We were as a group, we were soft as butter that first half. We started to get ourselves back in the game. We're in a good enough position right now. We can come back and win it, but we've got to get tougher. We can't read our press clippings coming in.
Why soft? That's not the trademark of this team. Why today?
Well, we left a couple of times. We shot the ball quick from the outside as opposed to getting to our low post. We let them get out in the open court, and then in the second chance, the shots that they've had, opportunities.
All right, Mike, thanks. Good luck in the second half. All right, Marv, back out to you and Doug.
All right, thank you, Jim. Soft as butter in the first half, says Portland coach Mike Dunleavy.
Well, when you look at the New York Knicks, they were able to get 11 second chance points, 4 fast break points. Portland had 0 fast break, 0 second chance points. So when New York wins that battle, Portland's going to be in trouble. And Marcus Camby, with his quickness, was the reason why they were able to do that. He was able to attack and get to the basket, slashing out of the double teams. And he was just quicker and more aggressive than the Portland front line, getting his hands on the offensive tip in. See right here, the little shot block. And when they blocked shots, they got out and ran. I think it's important for New York to continue to do that. Camby there with the second effort. And New York just was one step quicker, and they wanted it a little bit more in the first half. They did a nice job with Wallace. It took him 11 shots to get 10 points, and Camby 14 points and 13 rebounds. But at the end of the half, 11-2 spurt there. Portland has got to keep attacking, and New York cannot get stagnant, Mark. They've got to keep running.
The Knicks only 5 of 19 from the field in the second quarter. Portland turning it up 10 for 20. So they're down by 12 as we head to the second half. On the line here tonight, the 10-game win streak by the Portland Trail Blazers. Down 49-37 as we get ready for the third quarter. Knicks come in winners of 7 of their last 8. Rasheed Wallace, the high man for the Blazers, 5 of 11 in his 17 minutes. Did pick up 2 early fouls that sent him to the bench. Marcus Camby, though, with a superb first half, 5 of 8 from the field, 14 points and 13 rebounds.
The guy's name you see missing up there, Bonzi Wells. Remember, this is a guy that Jeff Van Gundy was very concerned about. Only 1 of 5 in the first half, 4 points, 2 of 6 from the free throw line. So they got him under control, and it really forced Portland to sputter in the offense. And again, you can see what he did last year in the fourth quarter. 18 points, 15 in a row, and almost brought the Blazers back single-handedly from a big deficit. New York went on to win the game.
All right, let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Marv. Well, the New York Knicks were told by Jeff Van Gundy at the half he didn't like the way things went toward the end of the second quarter, where things got bogged down and they started taking some bad shots. He wants to see the offense make the extra pass, try and get out and run maybe a little bit if there is an opening. He also didn't like the way that the guys played defense toward the end of that second quarter, and he let the Portland Trail Blazers back into this game, so I think you're going to see the defensive effort turned up like it was back in the first quarter. Marv?
All right, thank you, Jim. The Trailblazers trying to continue what has been a sensational road trip. They blew out the Sixers in Philadelphia, won handily in Charlotte in their last game on Thursday night against Eastern teams. Portland has won 17 of 20.
Well, you know, Marv, we've talked during the telecast that you and I have been on together this year already about, I really believe that the team that will have the best record in the West will be the team that can go east and win big and run up their record against the East. And right now, Portland 17-3, as you talked about, they're doing that.
The Knicks have won 8 and lost 5 against the Western teams. That is an impressive record. The steal by Houston. Johnson, came up short. Was bothered from behind. Meanwhile, the Blazers give it right back.
Well, you can see what Mike Dunleavy's done. He said, you know, the quickness has hurt us in the first half. We've been a step slow. So Dale Davis starting in the place of Sabonis, trying to use some more quickness out there on the floor. Sabonis will come in, probably play in the second half, but they need to get off to a quick start here in the quarter.
The Knicks went right at Arvydas Sabonis in the first half, so it's Davis with Altman and Wallace up front. Stoudemire and Wells in the backcourt. Stoudemire being played by Ward. Altman let it go to the backcourt. The Knicks contended it was not touched. Portland said yes, a deflection. And apparently it was, according to the officials. Dale Davis cuts it to a 10-point Knick lead.
If you can pick the ball up, pick the ball up. Don't ever leave it to a referee's discretion. Stacey could have picked that ball up. He let it go in the backcourt. He ran the risk of being a backcourt violation.
The Knicks just 5 for the last 22 from the field.
One of those droughts that you talked about, Marv.
At one point, the Knicks led by 21. Here's Sprewell giving it up. Shot clock at 2. And can't be able to get to the offensive board. Ward, intended for Camby, comes back to Ward. You can hear the buzz in the crowd, a little over-anxious. Here is Sprewell. He's able to hit.
Well, great recognition. He sees that he has Damon Stoudemire on him. He backs him down with 2 quick dribbles and shoots it before Wallace can get over and give help.
The Knicks 51, the Blazers 39. We played 2 minutes in this third quarter. Wallace, Camby came over to help. Stoudemire picking up Houston on the switch. Ward with the ball fake and does it again. Came up short. Camby is fouled. Well, that's a rarity for Charlie Ward.
Like he's running the option as an option quarterback down there, faking the handoff. 2 of them. Great ball fake. You're going to see that Bonzi Wells goes for that. Then he goes to the lane, a little behind the back. No, I'm going to keep it. Shoots it up against the backboard. And there once again is Marcus Camby, who's getting every loose ball.
Yes, for Charlie, that's a flashback to his Heisman Trophy days back in '93 at Florida State.
When you look at the lineup that Portland has on the floor right now, this is not a good offensive lineup for them. You have Stacey Augmon out there, who's more of a defender. You have Dale Davis. So if they're going to get back in the game right now with this unit, they're going to have to do it on the defensive end.
The Knicks have a 14-point lead, 16 for Camby, along with 15 rebounds and a blocked shot. Wallace got the step and drew the foul. So Rasheed is headed to the line. That's 3 on Camby.
He has such talent. You know, you talk about the power forwards in the game. We talked about Chris Webber. You talk about Kevin Garnett, Karl Malone, Tim Duncan, who I think is a power forward, not a center. I mean, Rasheed Wallace is right up there with those guys, Marv, the way he's playing this year. His numbers are not going to overwhelm you. I mean, he's in the top 20 in scoring in the NBA, but with the depth of this team, he's not going to have huge numbers, but he is playing great basketball.
And Rasheed this season has decisively emerged as Portland's go-to guy this season, averaging 20 points per game. You had the feeling in the past, and at times last year he was the go-to man, that he was uncomfortable with that position, that is usually more effective taking his shots within the flow, but he has accepted it and has obviously come through.
Stars win games, especially in the last 6 minutes, and Rasheed Wallace is a big-time star. And you see last year in that Game 7 you talked about against the Lakers, they missed 13 straight shots, a couple baskets, and they're in the finals and maybe wearing a ring. So they have got to be able to finish games in the playoffs, so he's got to be the guy.
Foul is called on Augmon. Allen Houston going to the drive, and that's number 3 on Stacey Augmon. Scottie Pippen sitting it out next to the rookie Eric Barkley out of St. John's University, who's on the injured list. Allen Houston. Nice play by Wallace to get to that rebound. Knicks up by 13. 3 minutes gone by in the third. Augmon. Stacey Augmon, not a guy who looks to take shots. That's only his second, his first field goal. He's on the floor for his defense.
Well, when he played in Atlanta, he did like to post at one point in time as a double-digit scorer, but for this team, he looks for the defense.
That's a 3 for Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward with his third three-pointer. That won't count. Foul is called.
Charlie came back in his first game, played pretty well. In Game 2, did not play well. 1 of 5, struggled missing open shots. Today hitting the open shot. And Marv, we see that a lot. A guy comes back the first game, his concentration is great. Second game, sometimes a little drop-off, playing very well today.
Davis able to get inside. Knicks are looking around at each other in terms of the help. Charlie Ward is hit 3 out of 4 from beyond the three-point line. Knicks lead by 12. Knicks are 7 of 13 from downtown. Nice pass. Johnson to the rim. Larry Johnson with his third field goal. He has 6 points. Knicks 58. Blazers 44. Easy Wells. Nice baseline move.
And you can see why he's a very good post player. He's strong. He's got the quick first step and the powerful finish. Went right around Sprewell.
Ward penetrating, but Stoudemire able to recover. Charlie Ward looking more and more mobile. Came back from the knee injury a bit quicker than anticipated. They thought he'd be out another 7 to 10 days. Foul on Camby. And that's number 4 on Marcus Camby.
Well, let's see what happens now. The Knicks are up 12. We got 7:39 to go. Camby's going to have to sit down. He's been the most active player on the floor. We'll see what happens during this stretch. Can the Knicks weather the storm here as Portland is trying to get back into this game?
Oh, Kurt Thomas coming on for Marcus Camby. Thomas jumping out on the switch. Johnson fronting Wallace. Illegal defense called against the Knicks for the first time. So that is the warning. And Portland will put it in play with 14 on the shot clock. Marcus Camby, 16 points, 15 rebounds, but just picked up a 4th personal. Good defense being played by Johnson. Now they get the ball to Wallace. Here's the help. Wallace. Oh, Rasheed Wallace with that gorgeous turnaround move.
Well, he knows that if he can get to his spot, Larry Johnson cannot block his shot. I think the Knicks are going to have to come give him some help.
58-48. The Blazers within 10. And away from the ball, Wells getting entangled with Sprewell is called for the foul.
When you are a post player, look at you, take your time. Where's the double team? I've got a smaller player on me. Get to my spot and go up and take the shot. That's good patience.
Blazers with that 3rd team foul. Knicks also have 3. Sprewell got the step. Blocked from behind. Thomas the stop. Here comes Stoudemire. And it's a kick ball. So the Blazers get it back.
More of a half-court game here, Marv, we're seeing from New York, and that's when they struggled to score points. That first half, they were running second shot opportunities a little quicker. Portland's gone to a quicker lineup. They've gotten back defensively, forced it into a half-court game. That benefits Portland.
Now the Blazers have picked it up at the defensive end. We heard Mike Dunleavy accuse his team of playing soft. He told Jim Gray, "You're soft as butter." But that has not been the case here in this 3rd quarter. And after that sizzling start by the Knicks in the first quarter, they've only hit 8 of their last 30 from the field. Johnson on the intercept. Bonzi Wells had no angle on that pass. Sprewell is open, fires for 3. He's been off. Rebounded by Wallace. Stoudemire off the spin. And they'll reset. Wallace for 3. Not a good shot.
No, not a good shot.
And here is Wells.
Rasheed has such an advantage in the low post. He does not need to shoot that 3, Marv. He can go down there and create opportunities either for himself or his teammates.
Portland will talk it over with 5:53 remaining in the 3rd. The Knicks have a 10-point lead.
NBA on NBC is brought to you by McDonald's. We love to see you smile. By Toyota. More choices, better selection. Experience Toyota today. And by Nike Shops. Boeing thoroughly experienced and explained on Nike.com.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden in New York. There's Mike Dunleavy in his 4th season as head coach of the Blazers, NBA Coach of the Year 2 seasons back. Mike, a local product out of Nazareth Regional High School. There's a youthful-looking Mike Dunleavy out of Brooklyn. Back in 1972, he would go on to play 11 seasons in the NBA, playing a key role in the Houston Rockets' 1981 run to the finals, and coming off the bench, you recall, as a Milwaukee Bucks assistant in 1989 to score 9 fourth-quarter points despite wearing a jersey without his name on it. And I guess he was a teammate of yours in Philadelphia.
He sure was. Mike and I played together in '77 in the NBA Finals, and what a small world it is. My son now is an assistant coach down at Duke, and Mike's son, Michael Jr., is a star sophomore down there. So funny what a small world it is, Marv.
And Chris Collins and Mike Krzyzewski and the Duke Blue Devils were well on their way to a romp earlier today.
I was enjoying watching that first half.
I saw that. The Knicks lead is now down to 10 with 5:45 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Larry Johnson off the head fake. Here's Ward. So the ball back to Portland. Charlie Ward has hit 3 from downtown.
All those easy shots that New York got in the first half are gone. Mike Dunleavy's gone with a defensive team to get his team back in the game, and New York has gone ice cold.
As we saw Marcus Camby sitting down after collecting his 4th personal foul. Here's Altman. Illegal defense called for the second time against the Knicks. Second time this third quarter. No argument from Jeff Van Gundy, so a technical foul awarded Portland.
During that last timeout, the one thing Mike Dunleavy talked to his team about is don't settle for quick outside jump shots. Be smart offensively. They're double teaming the post. If we'll take our time, when Stoudemire misses the free throw, if we'll take our time, we'll get a good shot. And what you've seen is 2 illegal defensive violations just by being patient.
That's a rare miss. Damon Stoudemire, 87% from the foul line. Stoudemire trying to work his way through. Fortunate to recover, and Davis is fouled. Hit from behind.
I don't know how he got through that double team trap at the top. He just squirted right through 2 defenders, and once he did that, the basket area was wide open.
Foul on Thomas. And Davis to the line. He's 2 for 2 from the foul line. Down to 5:18 left in this third quarter. A reminder, on Tuesday night, join TBS when the Toronto Raptors, led by Vince Carter, take on Steve Francis and the Houston Rockets, starting 8 o'clock Eastern on TBS.
Now, is that you and the Czar?
No, we'll be working Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Making the Pacific Northwest tour.
I want to know when I have to turn on to watch you.
The Czar, though, likes to get out there like 4 days in advance if it's a good weather city. We encourage that. Here's Johnson. Yes.
It's a big basket as Larry Johnson steps out, and you can basically see Rasheed Wallace just basically gave him the jump shot. A big jumper there to put him back up 10.
Just under 5 remaining in the third. And a defense from this capacity crowd. Wallace looking for position. Ward over to try and bother Wallace, and a traveling violation is called.
You can see what Larry Johnson did there. He did that old Rick Mahorn move where the guy banged into him, and he took his body away from him. When he did, there was nobody to lay up against with Wallace. Watch this now. Larry Johnson goes back, and he just stumbles and gets him into a traveling violation. Rick Mahorn was the king of that move.
Johnson with a backdoor, beautiful pass, and the foul will put Thomas at the line. Nice play by Johnson.
Well, Larry Johnson's come out now and hit a big jumper and then stepped in the lane and made a great pass to Kurt Thomas, who will go to the free throw line. So Larry Johnson, a big part of the offense here as they're trying to keep this lead. Great no-look pass, and Kurt Thomas should have finished that play and been looking at a three-point play opportunity.
Often the offense very effectively will flow through Larry Johnson. That's the case the last couple of minutes in this third quarter. Now Arvydas Sabonis coming on for the first time in the second half. Start of the game, played 17 minutes. Had his difficulties with the quicker Marcus Camby. Davis sitting down. Good job by Dale Davis. And Steve Smith will check in. What a deep roster this is. Scottie Pippen not available, which is giving Mike Dunleavy a bit more opportunity in terms of the rotation. It's as you know, it's got to be tough to juggle this kind of talent.
Well, you know, Bob Whitsitt, who's the terrific general manager they have there, his philosophy is I'm going to get the 12 best players. So if we do have an injury or whatever, then I've got people that can put on the floor. We got great talent. Or if we make trades, we got people that people want. But what it does, it's a coaching nightmare sometimes because you can't keep them all happy.
And often on the roster, there are 3-4 guys who are equal in ability. And they all feel that, nice play by Sabonis. Able to get it to Altman. So the Knicks now lead 62-52. And when the guys of equal talent say, hey, I should be playing, they're probably all right.
Right. But you know, the thing about that is everybody on Portland has got their money. Shouldn't be a money issue because they're all paid and paid as much as they can be paid. And if you really want to win, and you talk about that, Marv, then that's what you have to do.
Charlie Ward with 11 points and 5 assists. Well, you have to have a special group where there is an understanding and an acceptability. That's tough to find.
Yes, it is.
3.5 to go, third quarter. The Knicks lead is down to 64-52. They've led by as many as 21. It will be Nick Ball with 13 on the shot clock.
Rasheed Wallace, you see him grimacing. It looked like on that last drive that he started to jump, he rolled his ankle, did not get lift on his shot. I think he twisted his ankle.
Rasheed hanging in, defending on Larry Johnson. Now steps out on Sprewell, who has been off. Latrell coming off the 1 of 11 against Houston is now 4 for 14. Stoudemire to the crossover. Ward able to stay with it. Sabonis. Oh, rejected by Johnson. Blocking the 7'2" Arvydas Sabonis.
That was shades of Grandmama there.
Houston not able to hit the three. That seems like a previous life for Larry.
I know that. That was a long time ago.
Stays with the Charlotte Hornets.
Look at this passing, though. Nice play that time by Sprewell, but Sabonis, such a great pass.
Sprewell for Thomas trailing. Does not look pretty, but the Knicks will take it.
That's what they have to do, though. Every time Portland turns it over, especially with Sabonis on the floor, you've got to run. You big men have to get out on the floor. He cannot change ends of the floor.
So the Knicks have the lead up to 14 points as we come up on 2 minutes left in the third. Stoudemire eluding Ward. And last touch by the Blazers. Here's Glenn Rice checking back in as Portland takes a timeout.
Charlie Ward once again showing shades of Florida State in the Heisman Trophy. Throws ahead to Sprewell, who finds Kurt Thomas, who beats the big man down the floor to kiss off the glass. And the Knicks lead by 14.
We've been talking about the Knicks' defensive skills this year when the current Knicks have inspired the home crowd with their defensive prowess. It was Red Holzman's Knicks of 1970 that first began the tradition of defense at the Garden as he walked Clyde Frazier off the steal. That team's commitment to team defense helped the Knicks capture the NBA title. You look at the numbers here tonight. The Knicks have allowed just under 84 points per game. That's first in the league. Opponents shoot just 41.7. There's Walt Clyde Frazier.
Your partner in New York. But you know, Mark, when you look at the Knicks, they don't block shots. They're 26 out of 29 teams blocking shots. They're 27th in steals, so they don't get any easy baskets. They're not a great individual team defense. They're a great team defense. And Jeff Van Gundy has game plans every night as Kurt Thomas makes the jumper. Keep the ball out of the paint. We'll live with jump shots. Don't give up second shots. Don't give up fast breaks. And that's exactly what they've done today with Portland.
Well, they lost to the Rockets the other night in actually a bad performance by the Knicks. It was a 76-75 final score. And the foul is called on Sabonis, a tripping foul. And by holding the Rockets to under 100 points in that game, the Knicks set an NBA record most games of holding a team under 100. 29 straight games. Broke the previous record held by the Fort Wayne Pistons, and your Detroit Pistons are right in there.
I didn't realize that we had done that, so I'm proud of that.
A delayed reaction proud.
I'm proud of that.
That's certainly impressive what the Knicks have accomplished. They do play hard-nosed defense. Foul is called on Stoudemire. But the game has changed, Doug, so dramatically. And the landscape has changed. First of all, the Knicks play at a slow pace. The NBA average this season is about 94 points per game, and there are certainly some inferior teams in the East contributing to that, to the low scores, to that record.
I think that's all very fair. I think when you think about a defensive team, you know, what do teams shoot against you? They're one of the best in the leagues at that. They do a pretty good job rebounding the basketball. But I think that when you talk about under 100 points, I think with the league today, you start talking about maybe under 90 points being the barometer rather than under the 100.
For comparative sake, the 1970 championship Knicks, who were known for their defense, gave up about 106 points per game. The NBA average that year was 117, but that Knicks team had defensive players like Walt Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, Willis Reed, Dick Barnett. Excellent defender.
The 3 all-league defenders, and you won't get that here in New York. You get a great team defense right there. When Rice reads it, comes over and gets the steal.
And Johnson not able to hit off glass. Loose ball foul against the Knicks.
Larry Johnson so upset. That might have been the easiest shot he's had the entire game. That would have pushed the lead to 19. And he is very, very upset. You see the smile. That's more of a sarcastic smile, like, I can't believe I missed that shot.
Foul on Thomas, his 4th. Both teams are now over the limit. And Arvydas Sabonis to the line. Now 4 apiece on Thomas and Camby.
Well, we talked about how would they play without Marcus Camby. He left the game, and they had a nice little double-digit lead, about 11, 12 points. And now the lead has been pushed up to 16 after that free throw. So New York has done a nice job in his absence. Kurt Thomas coming in and playing very well.
Back to that the subject of defense. In 93-94, the Knicks led the NBA in defense, but that was a bruising, very physical group. Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason, and Derek Harper, John Starks.
Well, that was on the heels of the Bad Boys in Detroit, where it was really arm wrestling, and then Pat Riley did that here in New York, and then the league said, no, we're not going to let skill be negated by strength. And so they've tried to clean the game up, but still scoring way down.
Foul is called. That'll put Kemp at the line with 21 seconds to go in this 3rd quarter. Foul on Johnson, his 2nd. Sean Kemp, who has not received the playing time today, will shoot a couple. Looking ahead next weekend, we'll be back to bring you more NBA on NBC action on Saturday. A battle of Western powers. The Kings going up against the Trailblazers, then a triple header on Sunday beginning at 12 noon Eastern. First, the Pacers and the Knicks from Madison Square Garden. Vince Carter and the Raptors go up against Allen Iverson and the Sixers, or the Suns and the Jazz. And in the nightcap, it's the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers. A full slate of NBA on NBC. That's next weekend starting Saturday, 5 Eastern. The Knicks lead at 69-54. Final seconds. 3rd quarter. Here's Ward for 3. Yes.
Big shot. Charlie Ward now twice hit shots just at the right time. Momentum shot going in. Up 18. Big shot by Charlie Ward, who's making his presence felt today.
Ward with his 4th three-pointer. 15 points for Charlie Ward. And the Knicks open up the 18-point advantage after 3. High Point men, Marcus Camby with 16, Charlie Ward with 15. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. And any retransmission, reproduction, rebroadcast, or other dissemination or use of this telecast, or of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association is prohibited.
Among the regulars here at Madison Square Garden is Woody Allen, Penny Marshall, John McEnroe, Spike Lee. And there's Buck Williams, one-time member of the Portland Trailblazer and the New York Knicks and the New Jersey Nets. And Buck hearing the applause from the crowd as his picture appeared on the screen above.
Well, you can see the scoring there in the 3rd period. Portland went with a defensive lineup, got outscored by 6. So New York keeping the pressure on defensively or offensively, even though Houston and Sprewell are combined 7 for 25 today.
Thomas rebounded by Sean Kemp. Knicks have led by as many as 21. That was early. Portland battling its way back in the 2nd quarter, and the Knicks able to turn it on again in the 3rd. Monty Wells and Greg Anthony now in the backcourt. Foul is called. Rasheed Wallace is up front with Sean Kemp and Steve Smith. Blazers have done the job in the 4th quarter on this road trip. You see at Boston, at Philly, they pulled away, at Charlotte,
They're going to need more of the same today, being down 18 and that clock working against them.
And the foul, the trip is called on Thomas, and that is his 5th.
Well, the one thing you don't want to have happen when you have this kind of lead is pile up a lot of fouls, get into that penalty early where a team can shoot free throws, get that clock stopped, and get yourself back in the game. Portland shoots 78% from the free throw line, Marv, so they do not want to continue to get these kind of fouls early in this fourth period.
And now Marcus Camby comes on for Larry Johnson. Johnson instrumental in the good run by the Knicks in the third quarter. Sits down with 8 points and 9 rebounds. Kurt Thomas has played 19 minutes, 8 points, has the 5 fouls. Camby playing with 4 and trying to draw the foul on Wells. And Bonzi Wells has had a very long evening.
Every shot has been contested, and even the good shots he's had around the basket, he's had very little luck on today.
Camby sets the pick, and a foul is called.
Well, I tell you, Marv, in our open, we talked about Sprewell and Houston, and during the 7-game winning streak, how well they'd played. They'd averaged 45 points a game between them. I said I thought they were going to need 45 today from those two, and they had to get to 90 points. It looks like they're going to get to 90. I did not think they could beat Portland with those two guys shooting 7 for 25.
Well, this is most unusual. A very a different type of offense for the Knicks here tonight. And Sprewell will go to the foul line. Foul on Wells. Most unusual to see Marcus Camby and Charlie Ward as the high point men.
Well, you know, that's, I think when you talk about New York, that's what they're hoping for, is they can sort of get a little bit more balance. It's going to be a technical free throw.
Looked like Rasheed Wallace was teed up. And that brings forth the roar from the crowd. Rasheed Wallace with his 20th technical of the season, well in front in that department. And Portland with their 3rd technical foul. Head coach Mike Dunleavy was hit earlier, as was Bonzi Wells.
Anytime he gets the first, you always hold your breath wondering, is he going to stop now and not get his second? And one of the things you've seen with Mike Dunleavy, he leaves him in the game because he said he's more inclined to get a technical sitting on the bench and continuing chirping than if he's continuing to play. So that's why he keeps him out on the floor, because taking him out doesn't calm him down.
When you're on the bench, you're thinking.
That's right. You got more time to sit over there and talk.
And you would hope if the player's on the floor that he's thinking about playing the game.
That's correct. But you know what? You've talked to a lot of guys from Portland, Marv. You and I have done that. We've talked to the coach as well. He's such a great guy. And it's sort of amazing where something like that will occur, and he just sort of loses it for that moment, and it's hard for him to get his concentration back. He won't let it go.
The Knicks are 17 of 20 from the foul line. That's a key stat we mentioned earlier. They are #1 in free throw shooting, but the question is, do they go to the line enough? Well, tonight they have. And they lead now 75-54. Blocking foul charged to Rice. Len Rice making his return here this evening after missing 4 games with that sore left foot and chronic soreness in his left heel. Rice got it going in the second quarter, hit a couple from downtown.
You can see New York is not letting up on the defense. We played over a minute and a half in the fourth period. Portland still has not scored a basket.
Wallace. And the tip. Controlled by Anthony of Portland. Here's Kemp for 3. And deflected out of bounds by the Knicks. So another opportunity for the Blazers.
New York has done such a fabulous job of keeping that ball away from the inside. And you see the second chance points, plus 12 for New York. Again, they're not a good offensive rebounding team. You know, one of the poorest in the NBA. But nothing in the paint right now for Portland. Their last 4 shots have all been jumpers.
Foul on Camby. That's 5, so 5 apiece on Camby and Thomas. And now Larry Johnson will check back in. Jeff Van Gundy has 2 other big men on the roster that he has not used here tonight. Luke Longley, who has back spasms but is available, and Travis Knight, who has not played. Camby and Thomas in foul difficulty. From the Knicks point of view, they are very fortunate that they have this kind of cushion. Offensive foul. Basket won't count. Steve Smith called for the push
Well, Steve Smith sees 14 fouls against New York. He knows you're shooting the next one, so he tries to get contact, and he throws that arm out, the little chicken wing on Steve Smith, and he gets the foul.
Smith still discussing it with the official. Still a lot of time remaining. 9:40 to go in this fourth quarter. Here's Sprewell coming up short. Good move. He thought he was fouled. Now Smith for three.
Again, a jump shot, one and done. No offensive rebounds. Perimeter jump shot, exactly the way Jeff Van Gundy would draw it up on the board if he wanted to defend Portland.
Still plenty of time remaining in this game, but the Knicks with the sizable lead. This just one of those type road contests for a team that has been playing tremendous basketball. 10 straight wins. They wallop Philadelphia in Philly, a convincing victory at Charlotte, and not the Portland Trailblazers we have seen showing up here at the Garden today.
Well, you know, as a coach, you're always talking about guys, stop thinking about the streak, just go out and play. And they come out today and they get a big early lead by New York and just never have responded. You know, let's not take anything away from New York, Marv. They are dominating in every phase of this game. They are a step quicker. They're playing tougher. They're just a better basketball team today.
And the reach-in foul is called on Wallace. And as we saw in that last sequence, the Knicks are on every loose ball. Timeout taken, 8:54 remaining in the fourth. The Knicks up 75-54.
The glory days of football. We didn't play to become poster boys or win good sportsmanship awards. We played for the love of the game. On February 3rd, the glory days are back.
The XFL, February 3rd on NBC. The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Midas. Keep a good thing going. By Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. And by the all-new Honda Civic. Amazing, but true.
It's been a long time between losses for the Trailblazers. Their last defeat at Denver, December the 22nd. You look at the East versus the West. The Knicks very effective against Western Conference teams going into tonight's play. 8 up and 5 down as you look at the top 4 teams in the East. And how about the West? Portland 17-3 against the East. And the top 4 teams in the West, a combined 44-12 against the Eastern Conference.
Well, I can see right now the Detroit Pistons have this Portland team tomorrow, and they're going to probably get some wrath of Portland coming in. They probably hope that Portland would win today and maybe sort of look past them on their way home after the game tomorrow. That will not be the case. We see Rasheed Wallace, excellent defensive job, great rebounding, but 16 shots to get 13 points.
Kurt Thomas at the line with 8:54 remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Knicks extend to 76-54. I tell you, that Damon Stoudemire has some good one-liners. You know, just knee slappers.
You think he's got Rasheed smiling over there after getting a technical. I'm sure Mike Dunleavy's very happy about that. He doesn't like the score, but he likes the fact that Rasheed is smiling right now.
77-54. The Knicks with the lead. The low for the Blazers this season, 75 against the Kings. The biggest loss, the 26-point margin against the Suns. And the ball back to the Knicks. Portland has gone 7.5 minutes without a field goal. Their last field goal, a layup by Stacey Augmon with about 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
And they've not scored here. We've played over 3+ minutes in the fourth period. They've not scored in the fourth quarter. Tough to make a comeback when you can't score.
Chris Childs back on the floor, coming on for Charlie Ward. The pass picked off by Bonzi Wells. And Smith gets position. He took the hit from Sprewell. Knicks over the foul limit.
I think the next thing to watch with this Portland team as Steve Smith starts to get his legs back and start feeling better. You know, at what point in time does he start getting that feeling of wanting to be a starter again? Bonzi Wells has done a great job as a starter. The team has played well. Steve has played very well off the bench. That could be the next thing we have to keep our eye on with Portland. As you talked about, Marv, before, they're great talent and depth. They got all-stars coming off the bench.
And tonight, Smith came off the bench along with Davis and Kemp. It just has not worked for the Blazers here this evening. And as you mentioned, I have to credit the Knicks, who came out with a burst. That's unusual for the Knicks. Had one of their best quarters of the season. They were up 31-12 after one, then hit the dip in the second quarter, only 5 of 19, but able to rally in the third. Illegal defense called for the first time against Portland.
Well, it looked like when Portland was making that push, 11-2 at the end of the half, they got it down to 12 points. They came out in the third period. Mike Dunleavy went with a defensive team to try to stop them, and Portland was outscored 23-17, so they never could get their offense going today. And again, you've got to give New York credit. They're not this kind of defensive team without being well prepared and making tremendous commitment to stop people.
And looking at the Knicks schedule, they're off tomorrow, Monday afternoon on Martin Luther King Day. They'll face another tough game. San Antonio Spurs will be in town. The Knicks won in San Antonio back in early December. And then 3 days off, and Friday night the Knicks will be at Detroit. Johnson spinning his way. And a loose ball foul against the Knicks. If it's Kurt Thomas, it's number 6, and it is. And Thomas is fouled out. 10 points, 5 rebounds in 22 minutes, and Kurt Thomas. Here's the applause from the crowd.
Interesting substitution here by Jeff Van Gundy. He's not coming in with a bigger lineup. He's coming in with Allen Houston, and he's going to let Glenn Rice play almost like as a power forward and go with a smaller team. Well, I guess he took Sprewell out also, and he's going to come in with Luke Longley. So Luke seeing his first action of the day.
And they are not booing. They are chanting Luke. Luke Longley has been sitting out recently because of back spasms.
We talked to Sprewell before the game, RV and I'd asked him about his back, and he said, you know what, I have a greater regard for back spasms and what they do to you. He said, early in the season, they really slowed me down. He said, I feel great now, but when I hear somebody has back spasms, I have a better respect for that.
Dale Davis, 5 for 5 at the line. Now have Childs and Houston in the backcourt. Longley is up front with Rice and Johnson.
I like the matchup at Allen Houston right now going against Steve Smith. Let's see if that's where New York goes.
Rice posting on Wells. Here's Rice. Yes.
Marv, he is a very underrated low post player. Again, when he was at Charlotte, he did that very, very well.
And Rice with a couple of inches on Bonzi Wells. Knicks now lead 79-58. Here's Kemp. Sean Kemp. And that is the first field goal for the Blazers in about 9 minutes. Wow. That's a drought that Portland has not seen this season.
What we expected to see really from New York as Portland was trying to get back into the game, and it seemed like that either Larry Johnson would hit a big basket or Charlie Ward or somebody would come up with a big play, because it really hasn't been Sprewell in Houston today.
Yes, Jeff Van Gundy has seen a number of 7, 8, 9-minute periods in which the Knicks have had difficulty scoring. Here's Johnson. Shot clock was running down. Now Greg Anthony came up hobbling. Anthony pulls it up for the 3.
And Jeff Van Gundy's not happy right now. He says, guys, don't fall asleep right now. We've got a big lead. Keep playing hard for about 3 more minutes and the game is over.
Charlie Ward will come on. Van Gundy pointing to Ward, who will check in. Knicks have lost a little spark here. Ball will go to Portland. It's a 16-point lead with 6.5 remaining in the fourth, and the Blazers in the midst of a 9-2 run to cut into that 23-point lead.
Well, we saw the other night in New York against Houston, a 14-point lead go very quickly when New York went cold, and Houston scored the last 7 points of the game to steal that game.
Here's Wells. Now Kemp is open. Kept alive by Davis. Anthony, the former Knick, Greg Anthony, a teammate of Larry Johnson's at UNLV, hits his second three, and it's suddenly just a 13-point lead. Greg Anthony, a very good defensive player, all over Charlie Ward. Marcus Camby will check back in a moment. Here's Allen Houston. Beautiful fake to the right to set up the jumper.
I like that matchup because Steve Smith is not a physical defender, so Allen Houston likes those kind of guys to play him. He has good success against them.
Smith was about to unleash the jump shot, then changed his mind. Now timeout is called by the Knicks. 5:33 to go in the fourth, and the Knicks lead by 15.
Well, Greg Anthony gets it down to 12. Looks like New York is starting to struggle on offense, so who do you call on? Allen Houston, their best offensive player, squares up Steve Smith, jabs him, hits a big basket. The lead's back to 15.
I remember the way the game used to be played. Hard-hitting and passionate. We enjoyed knocking guys on their ass. It was an attitude, and I loved every moment. Attitude and intimidation. That's my brand of football.
The XFL, February 3rd on NBC.
Ahmad Rashad in New York. Right now, let's head to Dallas for a live look-in at the Suns and Mavericks. Phoenix is leading by 21 in the fourth quarter.
Hey, I'm just wondering which missed call Mark Cuban is going to put up on the scoreboard after the game.
Okay, all right, Peter. All right.
It's been all Phoenix. 32-16 off the bench, and they're, again, forcing turnovers. 17 steals, 22 Dallas turnovers already. They can't play without Steve Nash.
And bench has been great, too. 32-16, Phoenix outscores Dallas.
Dallas struggles against Phoenix. Steve Nash played the first game, and they still got hammered at America West. This looks like a bad matchup for the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, it is sort of a bad matchup. I guess you would say that, trailing by 21. Let's get back to Marv Albert at Madison Square Garden.
All right, thanks, guys. The Knicks with an 81-66 lead on the Portland Trailblazers, who came in with 10 straight wins. The Knicks winners of 7 of their last 8 games. Kemp with a beautiful pass, and that'll put Dale Davis at the line. Once again, foul is called on Camby, so he is fouled out. Knicks losing their 2 big men, Kurt Thomas and Marcus Camby. 16 points and 15 rebounds for Camby.
Interesting, Jeff Van Gundy's going to go with Luke Longley, and they really don't have a center on the floor. I'm surprised he didn't go with Sprewell here and go small and let Glenn Rice play against Sean Kemp, make Kemp play him. It's interesting to see what he's doing here to go back with Luke Longley. Who's he going to guard? I guess maybe Dale Davis. So I would go with more of the offense right now with a 15-point lead. Keep putting more points on the board. You can't lose if you keep scoring.
Marcus Camby in foul difficulty in the second half. Played only 6 minutes in the second half. Luke Longley has not played very much recently, bothered by back spasms. Dale Davis finally missing a free throw in his first 6. 5:25 remaining in the fourth quarter. Kept alive by Kemp. Now the matchup is Longley. Well, he was momentarily on Davis, now guarding Kemp. Here's Wells from way downtown, an air ball. It's knocked from underneath the basket, in and out. Looked like Longley did it. That's what Greg Anthony is saying.
I don't know why they stopped the game. Why did they just let him, if it comes down to you, why can't you just catch it and lay it right back in the basket?
The Trailblazers are saying that Luke Longley was the man who deflected it from underneath the rim, and apparently that is what the call is, so Portland will maintain possession.
So Luke Longley bats it up, and then it goes back down to the basket. It looked like Portland had it. I would have laid that ball in the basket and made him make a call.
Is it possible that was Australian rules?
I guess.
Johnson on the rebound. Just under 5 remaining in this fourth quarter, and the Knicks lead 81-66.
If you're Portland, you don't want to shoot jump shots, Marv. You want to get to that free throw line and stop the clock.
That is the Knick philosophy, though. Try to force the opposition into a jump shooting scenario. Knocked out of bounds by Smith.
Portland's having one of those days. They just can't even get a rebound. It's just not their day.
Meanwhile, Sprewell is 4 for 16.
This will be 3 straight wins for New York over Portland, so they've done a nice job against this Portland team.
Yes, they took both games last season. They will meet again in Portland on March the 30th. Sprewell, oh, good play by Anthony, but a foul call. Looked like he had the strip, but there was contact made. Bonzi Wells got it from the other side.
You can see Bonzi Wells hits him right on the wrist there. The ball pops up, and the ball's already in the air when Anthony comes down. So that's a good call by Mike Callahan as he gets Bonzi Wells slashing at the ball, but gets the arm of Latrell Sprewell.
Season low for the Trailblazers, 75 points. Right now they have 66 with 4:26 remaining.
Well, it's interesting when you look at the Knicks scoring as Sprewell starts to shoot this free throw. They now are 20 of 24 from the free throw line. They have 8 threes, so 44 of their 82 points from the free throw line or the three-point line today.
Rick Anthony. That's his 3rd from downtown. 82-69, the Knicks with a 13-point lead. They've led by as many as 23. We have 4 minutes remaining in the fourth. Johnson. Yes, he went right at Sean Kemp.
Again, we've seen it over and over today. Just when it looks like New York might get themselves in a little trouble, somebody comes up with an opportunistic basket. This time it's Larry Johnson. He turns and faces, knows he's got the quickness over Sean Kemp, gets the foul, and then makes the circus shot. So it's been Charlie Ward, it's been Larry Johnson, it's been Camby, the supporting cast of Sprewell and Houston today, who's made all the answers anytime Portland has tried to get back into the game.
And Larry Johnson with 11 points. 11 rebounds. Larry Johnson has had the ability to come up big against quality opposition. Oh, Sean Kemp out of control, and that is an offensive foul. You do not want to get hit head-on by Sean Kemp.
New York took 10 offensive fouls in the game the other night against Houston. You see Charlie Ward coming over once again, giving his body up. Kemp runs over him. Turnover. Now New York can come down and use a little clock. Portland's going to try to trap to get him to take a quick shot.
Here's Johnson. Longley with the rebound. Sprewell. Knicks swing it. Johnson coming up short. Way short on that three-point attempt. Oh, Wells thought he was fouled. Here's Anthony with another 3.
He's back in the guard. Do you think he's playing for the Knicks, or what is it, his 4th 3 of the game? He's keeping him somewhat in the game, still at 13 with 3 minutes to go.
He's 4 for 4, all from downtown. 85-72, the Knicks with the lead. Longley gets it right back. Here's Ward, has been hitting the 3. Not this time. 2:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. Anthony's the go-to guy here for Portland down the stretch.
Charlie Ward is stuck to him right now. Now Allen Houston, they said, we cannot let this guy shoot a 3.
Here's Kemp. Oh! Rebounded by Ward. The lowest score this season for the Portland Trailblazers was a 75-point game in a close ball game with Sacramento. They lost 79-75 at Arco in Sacramento. Right now they have 72. Johnson for 3. And Anthony pops it down. Davis met by Ward, who knocks it out of his hand.
Now Charlie Ward continues to do the little things. It looked like Dale Davis might have a dunk there. Charlie Ward hustles back, knocks the ball out of bounds. It'll be Portland's ball when we come back.
assembled for a run at greatness. The Trailblazers must fight to overcome their mighty Western rivals, or face their most defiant foe ever, time. The Blazers host the Kings next Saturday at 5 Eastern on NBC.
Join Michael Jordan, John Elway, Wayne Gretzky, Jerry Rice, and more. The Michael Jordan Celebrity Invitational, next Saturday at 4 Eastern on NBC.
NBC tonight. See Jim Carrey, Val Kilmer, and Drew Barrymore in Batman Forever. Play the Saturday movie trivia game. 8, 7 Central, NBC tonight.
For the Knicks, it has been a very impressive performance and a balanced attack. 6 players in double figures, and Glenn Rice just a point away.
Well, that's how you get away with having Sprewell and Houston go 8 for 28 and still be winning the game. You play great defense, and you have 7 guys step up and almost be in double figures. If Rice does score, that'll be the case. So you do it with balance if your 2 stars aren't getting it done for you.
And the Knicks losing Marcus Camby and Kurt Thomas on fouls, both fouling out, has not mattered, although they have led by as many as 23. Now going with Luke Longley as the big man. Steve Smith hits a 3, and the Blazers trying to get right back into it with the shot from downtown. But the scoreboard clock was incorrect, and a delay of game was called on Portland. 85-75. The Knicks now lead by 10 with a minute and 45 to go in the fourth. Here's Houston for 3. Longley with the rebound, and then had it knocked away. This game is not over. 10-point lead, minute and a half remaining. It would take a miraculous finish.
We have seen stranger things happen, Marv, in the NBA.
All right, here's Kemp. Blow the layup.
That finished him right there. Had they scored there, maybe they would have had a chance to get it to 8. Missing that layup, now New York can come down and use clock 3 times, and it's over with.
The steal by Smith. Pulls up for the 3. And Anthony goes to 3-point territory. Looks like a game out of the old days of the ABA is.
My kind of game. Come down and launch it.
Foul is called on Allen Houston. Not what the Knicks wanted to do. You stop the clock. You put Steve Smith at the line, can cut it down to 8 with 54 and 7/10 seconds remaining.
You know, I talked to Jeff yesterday, Marvin. I said, Jeff, how do you do this? 82 times a year. A game is never over with your team. I mean, you get to the last 3-4 minutes, everybody's always in the game because you can't score points. He said, you know what? Basically, we play a playoff game almost every night that we play. The games are close. We get it down to the wire. But you know, in games 4 points or less, they're 6 and 7 this year. So they have not had great success in close games with low scores. I was a little bit surprised at that number, Barb, when I saw it. I thought they'd win more of those games, but they haven't this season.
Doug, and I know you have made the point in watching the Knicks the last couple of years that this is a club that sometimes has to win a game 2 or 3 times during the course of the contest.
No question. You get a lead, looks like you're comfortable, team comes back, then you have to beat them again. Sometimes you have to beat them 3 times, and that takes its toll on you simply because you can't score.
Oh, Johnson saving the pass, getting it to Longley, but we get a whistle for a foul. Portland with a 23-8 run to get back into it. Steve Smith picks up the foul, his third. 46 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. It's an 8-point game, and Luke Longley to the free throw line. Luke 11 of 13 at the line this season.
Luke is such a likable guy that when we were over in Sydney and he was traded to New York, you know, my biggest concern with him going in the Ewing trade was to come in and him not play well here and this crowd really eat him up. But with the injuries and now coming back, it appears that they like Luke here, which is good. But you know what? When you talk to him, how can you not like him? But if you're not performing in New York, they'll let you know real quickly.
It might have been fortunate that he actually began the season hurt. And then when the Knicks were going well, he was able to get into it. We'll be right back.
Of new comedy on NBC. First, a magical new Third Rock. Then, Undag, an undercover operation.
There's a bee in the car.
Goes horribly wrong. followed by an all-new Frasier and a touching reunion with his son.
He spent the entire time trying to ditch me.
Then it's Three Sisters, TV's hottest new comedy, and a birth as funny as you've ever seen.
You were not going to have your family in the delivery room. He's just like a clown car in here.
All new must-see TV, Tuesday.
Wednesday, an all-new Law and Order.
Any idea what he died from?
A killer who isn't human.
Monkey bites man, man dies.
A bizarre case ripped from the headlines.
It has to be taken seriously.
And when you think you have it all figured out, just remember, it's Law and Order. All new Law and Order, NBC Wednesday.
46 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Knicks lead is 10. You break down the Knicks season, Doug, and you can look at those wins over the Bucks, Suns, Spurs, Sixers, and T-Wolves as good wins. A couple of losses to the Hawks. They lost at the Clippers, lost to the Celtics. The Rockets are over 500, 18 and 17, but it was really the quality of the game, a 76-75 defeat where they had a lead and blew it.
Well, I think it's interesting with New York. They went at Phoenix when they were playing horrible basketball. They've been on a road trip and were playing very poorly. They go in and win. Same thing in San Antonio. Sixers, they had lost, I think, 4 straight, go in and win by 20. And today they come off a tough loss where they lose a 14-point lead at home and come back with a big win like this. This has sort of been what this team has been through the years. It's like we can't hardly stand prosperity, but when crisis hits, that's when we're at our best.
And the Knicks will go to 23 and 13, 3 games behind Philadelphia, that second best record in the Eastern Conference. Stacey Augmon making his return, coming on for Sean Kemp. The last loss for the Portland Trailblazers at Denver, December 22nd, beaten by the Nuggets, 116-96. At the time, there was 2 straight losses. They had lost to Dallas in their previous game. And the 10-game win streak will come to a close.
Marv, before we get off the air, I know your next week is going to be a special week for you. You're going to go to your son's Brian wedding. It'll be a fun weekend for you. I'll miss you, but I'll see you the following week. So have a great time, and I'll miss you.
Thank you. I'll be working with Bill Walton here as the Knicks take on Indiana, Madison Square Garden.
Pass on my best to Bill.
Bill able to fit in an occasional game between his MSNBC and LA Clipper duties.
I didn't know if he was ever going to come back from Sydney. He stayed over there for about 3 months. We thought we had lost him.
There were several people who said, take your time getting back. Relax. No rush. So Glenn Rice to the free throw line as he looks to crack the double-figure mark. Reminder tonight, following the Knicks and the Blazers. Tune in for the star-studded action thriller starring Jim Carrey, Val Kilmer, Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones, Batman Forever.
And with that free throw, we now have 7 players in double figures for New York. Great balance, and again, it offsets the tough shooting games by Sprewell and Houston today. And I thought that New York was going to have to get 90 to win this game today. They have 89 points, but I sure didn't think they could do it without Sprewell and Houston getting 45.
Portland taking a timeout. Nick lead is now 11 with 33 and 9/10 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. And the Knicks will make it 30 straight games holding the opposition under 100 points as they add to that NBA record. And the Knicks able to bounce back after shooting just 31%, a season low the other night against the Houston Rockets.
And the highs and lows of this game, Jeff Van Gundy yesterday, they've lost to Houston, to blow their losing streak. And, we talked to him yesterday, and you could just feel his despair. Mike Dunleavy, 10-game winning streak. They lose today. They'd won 5 in a row on the road. Now he's flying to Detroit, and he'll get on the plane and wonder, what in the world happened? And that's just the fragility of this game. You lose a game as a coach, and you just want to win every game. And when you lose a game, it just drives you into despair. It's a crazy business.
Well, tomorrow night, the Blazers will conclude the 5-game road trip against the Pistons in Detroit. Tuesday, they are back at the Rose Garden in Portland for Cleveland. That'll be the first of a 3-game homestand. Cleveland followed by Miami. And then Sacramento, the Sacramento-Portland game will be seen on NBC.
I'll be interested to see Sacramento. They had a 7-game homestand, and they lost their defensive intensity. And they went out after being on that homestand, and and gave up big numbers, I think 106 points to Denver last night. So they've got to get that defensive mindset back that they had when they were out on the road. They got home, got a little comfortable, lost their defensive edge, and that's the way they were winning.
Bonzi Wells throwing in. Stolen by Sprewell with a half minute remaining.
That sort of typifies Portland's day right there.
And the Knicks just playing the clock down and hearing it from the crowd. Coming up on 10 seconds as Ward is hacked by Smith. Charlie Ward will go to the foul line. The Knicks will make it 9-5 against the West. Most wins by an Eastern team against the West. Victories including at San Antonio, beat the T-Wolves twice at Phoenix. And a win here against the team with the best record in the NBA, the Portland Trail Blazers. So the Knicks balance scoring. The high man for Portland, Steve Smith, with 15. Knicks now lead 91-78. Final seconds. A very impressive performance by the New York Knicks as they defeat the Portland Trail Blazers 91-78. So the Blazer win streak is stopped at 10. The Knicks have now won 8 of 9. They go to 23-13. The Blazers at 27-11. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's Batman Forever starring Jim Carrey, Val Kilmer, and Tommy Lee Jones. So for Doug Collins and Jim Gray, I'm Marv Albert as the Knicks defeat the Blazers 91-78. Thanks for tuning in. You have been watching the NBA on NBC.
In a world where champions were celebrated and heroes stood tall, hope was lost and glory had faded. One man had a vision to bring the excitement back.
Win the game, baby! Oh, did he get up in the air?
The Houston Rockets. Rudy Tomjanovich, Hakeem Olajuwon, Steve Francis, Coutinho Mobley. Now playing at an arena near you.